In the past, when families split up, our legal system has focused on the needs of the parents in deciding issues like custody and visitation. Not much attention was paid to what divorce does to the children. And as a pediatrician, I can tell you that unless handled right, divorce can be devastating for kids. But there's a new movement today that's spreading throughout the country.
Kids with ADHD or autism want to be independent. Try Goalie, the visual scheduler that guides them through routines so you don't have to. Goalie, reinventing routines.
One that's putting what's good for the child ahead of differences between husband and wife. Let's take a look.
All rise.
This is the courtroom of the Honorable James Menow, one of a new breed of legal practitioners. Judge Menow presides over the family court in Plymouth County, Massachusetts, a state at the cutting edge of divorce law.
I'm reading you have a motion for emergency custody. According to this, son,
A lot of the cases that where the parenting arrangement is working, we don't see those. We see the cases that break down. We see the cases, unfortunately, where there are a ton of problems.
On the 16th, she moved out of the household. She brought her children over.
This is real life, and that means tough decisions.
It's okay to be interventionist. Sometimes you have to take custody away from a parent. Sometimes you have to take custody away from both parents and give it to the state.
Judge Menow and his colleagues have instituted a number of innovative ideas.
Sometimes what you can do is do a team approach where you can get a therapist for the child, and you can get a guardian ad litem who's investigating, and you can get a guardian ad litem to monitor the visitation.
So she can have contact with him on the phone if you deem that acceptable, but there's going to be she can't remove them.
Another new concept.
For families living with ADHD or autism, preventing meltdowns is everything. Goalie reduces stress by enabling kids to complete routines independently. Goalie, reinventing routines.
One thing we've done here in Plymouth County and in Massachusetts and many of the probate and family courts, we've gone to individual calendar. What that means is when a case is filed, it stays with one judge, and that judge follows it from its infancy to its end.
Now we gotta go to the police station.
This is the police station.
No, this
What
is the
that means is, number one, you get to know the people, they get to know you, they get to know what you think, you get to follow them, so when they come in, they don't have to re-explain the whole situation, you get to review it.
This approach has helped people like Gail and Vincent Lento through a long and painful process.
I have 3 kids. Danielle's 11, Andrew's 13, and Jimmy's 15. I've been separated from my husband for 3.5 years, and we're here to get the divorce finalized.
The kids really didn't want it, but her and I just finally decided it's time.
The kids are holding up. We have our ups and downs. One crisis at a time at our house. That's all that's allowed. But they're holding their own, so they're not happy about it.
Judge Menow knows what divorce can do to kids.
Divorce is a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing for people going through it, but it's a real terrible thing for children. And it's hard because in many cases, a judge doesn't see a child. We have those kind of silent parties out there. Those are the children. And it's my belief that the judge's role in the family court is to come at it from the perspective of those children.
Fine. The girls are going over his brother's house for Thursday into Friday. I'm like, I really think that it's my home.
Go back to what I always tell you.
I know.
What?
Man, you're married, it's a man, you're divorcing.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
No parent wants to see the kids suffer. There are things you can do.
What is it really about? It's about the fact that you're going to now be separated, and if you cannot get caught up so much in the words of custody and parenting and visitation and think, how am I going to learn to co-parent as a divorced person? That's what you're doing. I continue to learn to parent as a married person. People who are divorced are doing the same thing, maybe with a new spouse. They have a blended family.
Courtroom, please.
That's how you do it. Because obviously, you don't want to look over. We are more than a trial court. We are a court in which families are brought to us and are separated. Decisions relating where a child is going to sleep at night, who's the parent who's going to be there in the morning to wake them up, that's what we do.
Court, all rise.
Kids with ADHD or autism want to be independent. Try Goalie, the visual scheduler that guides them through routines so you don't have to. Goalie, reinventing routines.
Court's in session.
Could one of the lawyers just summarize the substance of the agreement?
Certainly, Your Honor. The parties have agreed to a mutual waiver of alimony.
From representing people and from dealing, there's such a sense of failure for people. I remember a husband-client saying to me, Jim, I can't tuck in my son anymore. Tough. I can't read him a story. Somebody's using my garage door opener now.
And how old are the children?
11, 13, and 15.
I did notice that they've opted for a flexible arrangement and a more on visitation.
That's correct, Your Honor. I think with the ages of the children being what they are, it works better for everybody.
And Mr. and Mrs. Lento, has it been your experience that has worked? I'm not interested in who is the best person, and who was better, and who had fault at this and that. Yeah, I'd hear all that if there's a contested case. But what I'm going to try to ensure, because I know from the studies and from my work and from all the information from the mental health field and from life itself, that children need two parents. Mrs. Lento, let me begin with you. Did you have an opportunity to read this document? It's titled Separation Agreement dated January 25th, the year 2000.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Okay. And did you read it line by line, ma'am?
Yes, I did.
Did you have the advice of Attorney Michelle Dorsey?
I most certainly did.
And are you satisfied with your lawyer's advice?
Yes, I am.
If you really want your kids to come out of this, and they're going to come out scarred, kids can emerge from divorce in degrees of health. And if you want your kids to be at a higher degree of health, you have to realize that, number one, you're a parent forever. You don't have to love the person, but you have to show some type of respect to the person. That has to be communicated to your child. It has to be real. Did you make full disclosure to your husband? You've got to make sure there's access there. You've got to be flexible. You've got to try to make sure that that child is seeing the other parent. Do you believe the provisions related to your children are in their best interests? We're not looking for winners. We're looking at the child and trying to see if that child can have access to both parents. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that happens. I am going to find today that the marriage has broken down irretrievably. The divorce will enter 30 days from today. Do either of you have any questions or any comments you'd like to make at this time?
No.
You are both very well represented in this matter by counsel, and although you're husband and wife no longer, you're parents forever. I wish you both well. Good luck to you. Thank you, counsel.
All rise, court's adjourned.
If you could say, listen, you're gonna go through a very difficult process. You're gonna go through some stages, just like anybody who's dealing with death. You're going through one of the worst traumatic experiences of your life. But if you can somehow say that when we emerge from this, these children need both people in their life. They need two parents in their life.